Good afternoon, Bobcats. I'm coming to you today with a schedule update as we approach the start of holiday breaks. This really comes in response to the increase in cases in Sauter County and an increase of concerns here locally. But I want to, before I go through this calendar that's here behind me on my trusty whiteboard, I'd like to just bring us back to center and focus on green local schools. And even though you are seeing a lot of postings that go out about COVID positive cases and close contacts, it's very important, I think, to narrow this down, which is something that I look at every single day, and that is the exposure or close contact that's happening here at school. And as of today, today's November the 19th, 2020, of course, and as of today, we have 0 COVID-19 positive cases that have come as a result of being exposed to it at school. And because of that, we know that people who are getting it elsewhere. It's not originating at school to this point. I almost hate to say that out loud because I have some sports superstition in me, and as soon as you say, this quarterback hasn't thrown an interception in 4 years, the next play, it happens. So I'm hoping I don't jinx us by saying that. But again, as of today, we have 0 COVID-19 positive cases here at school that resulted from an exposure at school. It's just not being spread here. And I truly appreciate each of you at home for making sure that your children are encouraged to follow those protocols. And of course, that goes back to our green local staff members as well, who are ensuring those protocols are followed consistently, to our custodial staff, who is doing a great job in terms of keeping things sanitized and clean, to our school nurse and administrators who are enforcing those kind of protocols. They're working, and we will continue to follow those. Now, for the calendar behind me and what we're going to talk about, it's about some schedule options that you will have, because I know there are fears out there. I share some of them, honestly, because as people travel and get together over the holidays, it may very well increase the likelihood that something could happen in terms of spread in the community. So I'm going to turn to our calendar here. I hope it's not too confusing. I'll try to take you through it and provide some background knowledge. I am creating, too, a paper-based copy of this that will go out to our kiddos next week as they come in, either Monday or Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and then I'm going to post it as well online. But I'm going to step back now and just kind of give you an overview of what this calendar looks like. Okay, here on this side, I have November and December. All of the November dates are written in black. All of the December dates are written in green. And then as we move forward, the January dates are written in blue. Now, this calendar starts on November 22nd, which is a Sunday, actually, but it's going to go through next week, which is our last partial week before Thanksgiving break, and all the way through Christmas break to the end of January. I'd like to kind of explain some of this. There are some codings on here. If you see a date that has one of these red kind of circles or blotches on it, then you know those are dates that are already planned to be remote, which means everyone will be home with online instruction. We've also, the change is really coming here with this purple circle here. Any dates that are circled in purple will be parent choice. We will still be up and running 100% with our current schedule. Teachers and staff will be here. They're going to be reporting. But I do understand that there are certain windows of time that might give more concern for sending your students. So we're going to make that your option with no penalty on that. So let's kind of look at that. Now, when we come into next week, we know that Monday and Tuesday, the 23rd and 24th, those are the regular hybrid days. Monday, Wednesday class will come on Monday, the Tuesday, Thursday class on Tuesday. And then these days that are kind of hash marked out, those are Thanksgiving break. So we know Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, those are your days off for Thanksgiving. Now, if you'll notice here on Monday, November 30th, the first day back from Thanksgiving break, that entire school week and the following school week from the November 30th to December 11th, those are circled in purple. These are the days, the 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, are the 2 weeks, I should say, that you as a parent will have the option to either continue to send your children here on that 50-50 hybrid schedule or keep them home remotely. And we chose 2 weeks, or I take responsibility for this. So if those 2 weeks you feel like, listen, I don't know what's going on, I'm just going to keep my kiddo at home, then you're fine. You just need to make sure that your child signs in every day, and he or she will be counted present for those days with no attendance penalties as long as they're logging in daily. But we also know, we've heard from so many parents that you want your kiddos here at school. You understand that school is one of the safest places to be, and you want them here. So we are not going to just have a knee-jerk reaction to what's going on and just shut down, because again, our data is not supporting that things are happening at school. So in response to the concerns, we will allow folks to keep students home for 2 weeks after Thanksgiving as long as they sign in. But for those of you who still want to send your kiddos to school, no change on that hybrid schedule. You'll follow your Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday schedule. Or if you're one of the kiddos that comes off 4 days, your schedule just picks right back up again. Okay, that's a parent choice window. Now, this is where I think I'll probably take the most criticism, but this is the week before Christmas break. Once you've gone through those 2 weeks of choice, on December the 14th through December the 18th, that's that last week before Christmas break. I don't have any special markings here because we do want students to return to their hybrid schedule during this week. It's the last week of the 9 weeks, the last week of the second grading period. So we want to have kiddos here to be able to finish up any work, any grades that need to be, work needs to be submitted for grades, and we can see them there the week before we hit Christmas break. So we do expect after this 2 weeks, which would be a typical quarantine period, after these 2 weeks of optional after Thanksgiving, you would return back on your hybrid schedule that last week before Christmas break. Okay. Now, up to this point, that takes us to the beginning of Christmas break. And anything that I have hash marked out is a day that we're off for one reason or another. So for the remainder of December, all of those days are hash marked out because that is the built-in Christmas break period. And that takes us into January over on this other calendar here. These days just represent those December days back on the other calendar. January 1st, 2nd, and then the 3rd, which is a Sunday, those are the final days of our regularly scheduled Christmas break. Now, as of now, when we get back to instruction after Christmas break, it is currently in our calendar to be off 100% remote for those following 2 weeks. Those dates are indicated by the red dots I mentioned earlier to indicate remote instruction. As of now, I'm certainly not a doctor or in the medical field, and I certainly cannot predict the future, but I think it does make sense that after that extended Christmas break, where you're going to have potentially more travel, more events, more get-togethers, there's New Year's, a lot of people get together for tradition, there's a lot more potential for some exposure during that time. So that's the rationale for going ahead and scheduling those next 2 weeks to be 100% remote, because just like after Thanksgiving, although I think the risk is probably a little less here, but 2 weeks is typically a quarantine period. So if anyone were to come in contact with COVID-19 over that break, this would be a built-in quarantine for them to be home, but still receiving instruction. So January the 4th through January the 15th will be 100% remote as we are here today. I will, of course, be keeping track of what's going on in Scioto County and take a look at what those numbers are. But as I'm standing here today, we believe it'll be 2 weeks of remote after Christmas break. And then that follows into January the 18th is still marked out. That is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so that is a national federal holiday. So we're off that day, returning to our regular hybrid schedule back on January the 19th, and then just finishing out at that point as the calendar indicates. I hope that's not too confusing for everyone, that this is going out to in just a regular kind of post, and then I am going to follow up with a calendar that looks like this, and hopefully after watching this you'll have a fairly good understanding of what that means. But we want to be sure that we're responsive to the concerns that you have, but yet still take our responsibility to educate children very seriously. It's it's a tough thing to juggle right now, to be honest, when you're looking at the safety of our kiddos and the responsibility to educate our kiddos the best that we can. So I think by opening up this option for you after Thanksgiving, that'll give you some freedom to hopefully feel a little better about what's going on. And then after Christmas, we'll have those 2 weeks of full remote. I do want to tell you, too, that I do believe that we're going to change our purple response as well. We are currently, as in Sauter County, the health risk level, we are still in red as of the time of this posting. If we should at some point go purple, I believe, standing here now, that we will fall back on this same option that we're going to impose after Thanksgiving, that we will still remain open, depending on our numbers and our ability to staff appropriately. We would remain open, but you as parents would have that option of whether you would transition to remote until we would come out of purple and then return to school, or just continue to come as usual. Now, of course, if we see some kind of spread starting to happen in the schools, or we see that our staff members, too many staff members are quarantined for us to be able to operate efficiently, we would have to shut down at that point. But there are just too many of our kiddos who need to be here. And too many of you as parents who want them here. The vast majority of students are operating on some kind of hybrid schedule. So that just tells me that you want them here. If you didn't, they'd already be remote. So we want to be sure that we're balancing that the best that we can. I hope I haven't been too long-winded in this, and I hope that this at least will give you a little bit of understanding and background when that print calendar comes out. And again, I will send a copy home with the kiddos next week, and it will be available online as well. So thank you, everyone, and I hope as we move into this holiday season that you are blessed and safe and well. Thank you, Bobcats. Bye-bye.